Hello all and welcome to my channel. So guys, I have a question for you. This whole paycheck to paycheck thing, who is to blame? Do you think people are to blame? We are the ones that are going out spending and just being irresponsible? Or do you think these corporations are not giving us a fair wage? Leave a comment down below, guys, and let me know, because I'm gonna react to this video from CNBC where they answer just that question and they break it down. And I wanna see and I wanna know if you agree with it, and I'm gonna let you guys know as well whether I agree with it or not. But before I get there, guys, please hit the like and subscribe if you think this channel is something you would really enjoy. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and with your help, I will certainly get there.
More than half of Americans say they would need at least $100,000 a year to be financially comfortable.
The benchmark of a six-figure salary used to be the gold standard income. It represented the tipping point of finally earning a disposable income and building a savings, spending based on your wants, not just your needs.
The American dream is what makes a middle-class lifestyle. You're able to pay your bills, you're able to put food on the table, put a roof over your family's head, and you have some additional savings.
You know, a lot of people used to always think that once I get $100,000, everything's gonna be great. But that's not the case. That $100,000 mark has been a number of people have been saying for years. Guys, there's inflation, okay? We deal with inflation. That $100,000 needs to adjust with inflation. It's the same as when people say, when I retire, I want $1 million. People have been saying $1 million for years. $1 million is not gonna be able to get you super far. For some people, depending on your living and how much money you spend and where you live, it can get you really far. But for some people, if you live in New York and you're just hoping on making $1 million and that's gonna be your retirement fund to just coast the rest of your life, that's not reality. It really isn't. Because they say the whole, for example, 4% is what you should be taking out of your retirement. So 4% of $1 million every year, your safe withdrawal rate would be $40,000. That's not even the median household in most of these states is $40,000. $40,000 will not get you that far. So the $100,000, people always say, I don't get it. How people are living paycheck to paycheck, making $100,000 a year. Well, there's a lot of reasons. And one of them is inflation, and the cost of living is ridiculously high.
26% say they would need more. A salary in the range of $100,000 to $149,000 per year would make them feel financially comfortable.
I think unfortunately what has happened is that wages haven't kept up with the cost of living by and large for the last 50 years or so. And so it becomes increasingly hard for many families to be able to attain that sort of middle-class lifestyle, that American dream.
You know what really irks me about all this? It really, really does. Because if you sit back and you think about it, and she mentioned it, where the company profits are just blowing up. Everyone's like investing in 401k. The market is blowing up. It brings back 10 to 12% a year if you follow the S&P 500 index fund. I mean, everybody's making so much money. There's record profits for all these companies, but wages remain the same. Why is that? Why is wages not moving, not at that same exact rate as company profits, but still moving? And it's not. You're seeing more and more these record-breaking numbers. I mean, the market is always breaking the numbers, always breaking numbers. And no, pay just remains the same. And that to me is the true problem. As long as these corporations are not looking at employees as a huge asset, not just talking, but putting money in their pockets to show them, hey, look, I appreciate it. And here you're getting rewarded. The company's doing great. So we feel like you are the reason why. And here's the money, you could get to enjoy some of the profits. But that does not seem to be the case. And that to me is a huge problem.
Go Banking Rates analyzed how much a family of 2 adults and 2 children would need in each state to own a home, a car, and a pet, as well as have an additional 20% of their income for savings and 30% for discretionary spending.
That 50-30-20 is out the window. And the way things are in this current economy is more like 8-10-10. Or like 95-5. It really, that 50-30-20 thing is so outdated. It's so hard. I mean, it is a nice goal to have. It really is. But it's so tough. Unless you have a large amount of income. Like a large amount of income would a 50-30-20 work. But in most places and for most people, and you guys let me know if you agree, that 50-30-20 thing, that's something that's like nearly impossible for most people.
All 50 states require more than a $100,000 annual income, with 38 states needing more than $140,000. The most affordable states, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky, need between $109,000 and $117,000. The median income for a household of 4 people in each of those states in 2022 was between $71,000 and $87,000. Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts are the most expensive. Each requires an annual income of more than $240,000. The median income for a family of 4 in those 3 states in 2022 fell at least $94,000 short of what's required for the American dream.
Okay, call me stupid, but I really always thought living in Mississippi or Arkansas and those places, life was a lot cheaper. It's not. From seeing that, it really is not, and I'm really quite surprised at the fact of how expensive it is to even live in these places where I'm dumb. I was naive. I really was naive. And I listened to some stuff out there that made me believe that living in those places was really cheap, especially Florida. I remember back in the days when I lived in Jersey, everyone used to come down to Florida saying how cheap it was in Florida. Not anymore. Florida is like the top 5 when it comes to buying a home as far as the prices being so high. The average is ridiculously high. And really, guys, it's only getting higher. That reminds me of a story I want to share with you guys real quick. When I was living down in Florida, I was actually thinking about moving back to Massachusetts. Well, I never lived there. My wife lived there. And I was thinking about going back to Massachusetts to go just do something different, try a new adventure. Florida was just something that I just wanted to leave and get away with, just try something different. So I was going to do a job transfer. And I did an interview. Everything was going great. I was going to go to Massachusetts until they made the offer. The offer was the same amount of money that I was making in Florida to get Massachusetts. Did you just see that chart to say how expensive it is to live in Massachusetts? Now I'm gonna tell you right now, the money I was making at that time for my pay was below 70 grand. It wasn't a lot. The cost of living in Massachusetts is ridiculously high, and I wasn't getting the same pay. Impossible. I mean, it would have been extremely impossible for me to survive. But there are people out there that when they were offering me that job over there, that I figured, man, how are they surviving with this salary living in that condition?
A different analysis from EPI found that in about 80% of the country, a family of 4 can afford their basic needs on less than $100,000 per year. Those include things such as housing, food, transportation, healthcare, childcare, taxes, and a few other basic necessities.
It doesn't take into account anything extra. It's really just putting food on the table, putting a roof over your head, getting healthcare for your family. And so you're not saving for a rainy day if something happens to somebody or if they lose their job. So there's no extra in there for retirement, for kids' college. Those are the kinds of things that many people want to save for. Those are the many things that people consider a part of the American dream.
And for all the people out there that ask the question, how are people living paycheck to paycheck with making $100,000 a year? That's the answer. Yes, you could be able to survive. That's not a problem. But no one really wants to live a life of just surviving. We want to be able to go on vacation. We want to be able to go invest. There's so many things that we want to do. And especially when you're seeing all this stuff in the news about how the market is doing so great. And then you're getting all these financial gurus telling you, hey, you need to save 15 to 20% of your money and put it in the market. How? Right? How are you able to do that? And now you're thinking you are a loser, you're behind, just because you're not putting money into investment. Or if you have kids and you're a horrible parent because you're not saving for the 529. Like all these things that making you feel like you're a horrible person. And because of the fact of the $100,000 that you make a year is not enough. You saw the graph, guys. Really, this is hard facts.
The idea behind the American dream hasn't really changed, even though lifestyles have. It used to be that you could get out of school, get a job, buy a home, and start a family, and now those milestones are harder to achieve.
It is extremely hard to achieve. I remember I heard stories when people saying how they went to college and they were able to pay for college with a part-time job. You are not able to pay for college now with a part-time job. You need a full-time job, and you probably will not be able to go to school full-time as well. It's extremely expensive. Yeah, you have other routes you could go. You go to community college, get your 2-year degree, and then go to university, and it's gonna be a whole lot cheaper overall, but still, a lot of people end up with student loan debt because it's getting extremely ridiculous and extremely high for student tuition. It is really absurdly high. And if you're a parent, you're trying to save for your kids and get there, it's just a lot.
Student loan debt reached an all-time high of $1.77 trillion in the first quarter of 2023. This can have a ripple effect, especially when entire generations are starting their adulthoods with thousands of dollars in debt.
Yeah, now you can't do anything. You're walking around with the student loan debt, and all they're doing is offering these repayment plans where you for 30 years and low income, and you hardly pay anything, and then interest is getting added on top of that. It's just prolonging it. I really don't know what they're gonna do in this situation, really, to this day. And we are in June 4th, June 13th. 2024, they still have not canceled student loans. They're still giving out student loans. That's never going to end, because listen, I know having the government being able to give student loans allows people who are less fortunate this opportunity to go to school, but it just feels like they're putting themselves in a bad position, and they're getting so much debt, and they're thinking like, hey, that's okay, because once I finish college, I'm gonna get this great job, I could pay it all off. And that's not the case, and by the time you realize it, it's too late.
American dream typically is people owning property and having children, but that's becoming largely inaccessible for many people. And even those who have attained these things are finding themselves managing every dollar coming in and out just to stay afloat. So that trade-off is underlying the new cost of the American dream.
Yeah, that opens up a whole other can of worms. Everyone just grinds so hard to finally get the house. So much sacrifice, and they finally get the house. And when you finally get the house, you recognize, man, it is expensive. Having a home with the repairs, homeowners insurance, the property taxes, repairs that have to happen in your house, like all these things, your renovations, the furniture you want to buy, it all adds up, and you say, man, this thing was just not worth it. For a lot of people to feel like it's not worth it because the discretionary income is just being thrown away. They're always tight and feeling like they're one paycheck of away for being broke. Hence the whole paycheck to paycheck cycle, which is why a lot of people just give up on that dream.
Millennials and Gen Zers still want to buy homes despite feeling like they can't afford it. 62% of younger millennials and 63% of Gen Zers still say owning a home is part of the American dream. 66% of U.S. renters surveyed say rising prices leave them feeling hopeless about ever owning a home. 72% of respondents say they can't afford the down payment. 17% of all homebuyers said that saving for the down payment was the most difficult task in the buying process, and 52% said student loan debt delayed their ability to save.
I mean, really, guys, you could just go on TikTok. That's all you see is people posting videos talking about how they're able to survive with the rent being so high, how they will never be able to buy a home. It feels like, and it's kind of sad, let me be honest with you, it's really sad that a lot of people out there feel like they would not be able to get a home. They would not be able to do the American dream. They would not be able to do the things that their parents were able to do for them. It just feels like it's so hard. And then especially you have all these boomers calling, millennials and Gen Zs lazy, and they always want to just work from home, work remote, and they don't want to work hard and blah, blah. Stop it, guys. Back in days, life was a lot more easier. You are not living in the situation that's going on right now. You will feel the same identical way. It is really hard during these times to make it, but you can though. I'm not gonna try and sound all negative. You really can, but you gotta be patient. That's the number one thing. You gotta be patient and really diligent, and you cannot give up on whatever it is. You cannot give up. It just takes a lot longer, but you will get there.
Typical first-time homebuyer in 2022 had a household income of $95,900. Nationally, a prospective homebuyer would need a nearly $110,000 salary to afford the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payments on a median price home. But the median household income in the United States in 2022 was a little under $75,000.
You see, it's impossible. It just seems like it's impossible. Like something has to give. These wages just need to go up. These companies saying, oh, we care about the work-life balance. But you're not giving fair wages to employees where they're able to go out and buy a home, be a lot happier. And let's be quite honest with you, man. If most of your employees have a mortgage, they're gonna be really loyal to your company because they know a mortgage, man, is something that I need to pay because they really enjoy the house, and they will do whatever it takes to make sure they don't foreclose on their home, and they will be really committed to working in your company. I know that sounds horrible, but that's how this economy is built. This economy is built upon people getting into debt or getting things in life that they really enjoy, and they need to keep it going, and they need to keep on working. But the way things are now, they can't even get stuff like a house, a car. There's so many things that people cannot afford, and that's really unfortunate.
Economists have suggested that debt growth became a substitution for income growth. More than a quarter of Americans said that they are doom spending or spending money despite economic concerns.
There's also this idea that young adults are feeling more discouraged in their own financial standing. So in that way, they're less inclined to even save for long-term goals and more likely to just live in the moment. It's just sort of that mentality, like, you only live once, I may not buy a home anyway, so let's take that trip or let's go to that event, whether it's a Taylor Swift concert or other, big ticket item.
Yeah, you're seeing that a lot. I mean, you see that so much that people are just saying F it, they're going out, they're just spending, just enjoying life because chasing that is not worth it. And hey, you know what? To some people, it does look good, right? It's a very smart decision to make, to recognize, buying a home is something that just is not feasible right now, or I might not even want it. People might call me stupid for renting an apartment, but guess what? I don't have that struggle that everyone has, just trying to chase this American dream. I'm gonna live in my apartment, I'm gonna travel, I'm gonna do all the things I wanna do. I have enough flexibility. That's why you cannot crap on people too much for having an apartment. You really can't, because that allows them the flexibility to do whatever they want. And they're not delaying their life, which is really short. Your time and your limit in this world is really short. They're not gonna delay it and sacrifice it for something that may never come. Now, as far as the whole credit card situation, yeah, that's simply the way it is. Having a credit card is an extension to other people, to people's income. That's just the way it is. And now they put points and you travel. Now you're like, oh, but you know what? By using this card, I get to travel and yada, yada. No. So it feels like, it really does. Like if you get paid $100,000, you have $50,000 limit on your credit card, people see their net worth as $150,000. Especially on TikTok, where people have all these ways to open up all these credit cards. And it's just all this like financial gymnastics. And unfortunately, though, that's the things that people are doing because they're just tired of waiting for corporations to give them the salary that they deserve.
73% of Gen Zers say the current economy makes it difficult to set up long-term goals.
Social media has changed the conversation so much because there's just been this abundance of the ability to see these glamorous, glorified lifestyles. It's not only celebrities that are presenting themselves this way, but even your own peers, which makes a lot of people feel like they're just not measuring up. They can't financially compete with what they're seeing online. It has left a lot of people, especially young adults, feeling very discouraged in their own financial standing. Even if they're doing okay, they just may not feel that way when they compare themselves to what they're seeing on social media.
Comparison is a thief of joy. That's something I always repeat to myself, because listen guys, as soon as you make a certain amount of money, you're always gonna find someone else that makes more and you feel miserable. Then once you make as much as they do, then you'll find someone else that makes more. It's just gonna go that way. It's simple as that. It's never going to change. It's an always never ending cycle. If you keep on looking at Instagram and social media and all these things, comparing your life to theirs, some of those guys, man, they end up, a few years later going broke or just in massive amount of debt to portray this wonderful life that they live. It's very dangerous. Now, to get motivated by watching certain things, yes, that's cool to do, but you really got to be careful. You really got to be careful and know that a lot of those people on social media are living in a facade. Guys, this video was really good and I'm really happy you guys stuck to the end because this is an important conversation that a lot of households are having, and that's why I want to do a reaction to this video and see what you guys think about this whole current state of the economy. Catch you guys in my next video. Peace.